of the moves together and work on the transitions between them so we can do a full routine. It's very exciting. So this routine starts out with something that I didn't actually put in a tutorial because it's not really a move. Just starts off with bringing your arms up through the center and opening your hands. It's quite simple, nice way to start. And after that, it goes into a whole corkscrew section. So I start spinning around and then doing some of those variations that we learned before. I actually start by just spinning, so I'm not even twirling my poi. I just have my arms out and I'm sort of like contracting and expanding my arms in and out. There's sort of a gentle way to start. And then I start doing some of those things that we learned before, just twirling low, twirling high. At some point I do that little transition that we went over where the poi kind of stall to your side, and then you can start your other hand. So you can just play around in this section. You can practice really extending your arm. You know, the faster that you go, the more momentum that you have, the more that your poi will sort of fling out, so you can play with your speed. And after I play around with each hand, I stop and I do that variation where you're raising your arms over each other, this way. And then I go into the full corkscrew and I start spinning around again. You don't have to spin, just a little extra flair. And then we have our first real transition, which is from the corkscrew to the flower. So during this whole corkscrew part, we're turning around, but during the flower, it's actually important that you end up sideways to your audience, because when you do the flower, they want to be able to see that full circle and see all the petals, whereas if you're facing them, it just doesn't have the same effect. So wherever your audience is, you want to make sure you end up facing to the side. So how I do that with the corkscrew is I'm coming around here, and as my poi are at the top and they're coming to the bottom, I just swing them both to my left side and start doing the flower with my back hand. So I'll show you that again. So I'm coming out of a turn. Oops, did an extra spin. They both come to my left, and I just straight away start flowering. And I just go with one hand. And when I'm ready to switch to the other hand, you can just stop and switch. But I do a little transition, which makes it a little smoother. So as it's coming down to the bottom, I actually swing that poi back and the other one in front. So I do a little opposite swing, and then I start my other hand. So I'll show you that again. So I'm going around with this hand, I swing it back, I swing the other one forward, and then I start my other hand. Then I do flower with this hand, and then I go into both hands. So you can start your other hand up at any point there in the circle. I'm doing split time the whole way through. You can do split or same, doesn't matter. And after that, I do a really crazy transition. I do this like quick turning. Oh, I'm not gonna teach that. I don't know why I did that. I was just feeling the moment. I recommend to get out of the flower. When one hand reaches the bottom, you just stop it there. When the other hand reaches the bottom, you stop it there, and you just bring your poi to a swing. There's a little lull in the music there, so I just swing for a moment. And then I start the last part, which is the chasing the sun part. I start my poi up backwards, and I do that whole section in split time, but you could easily do it in same time. And I start off nice and slow, just doing both parts. And I'm really kind of drawing out this part here where I'm bringing my arms up and bringing my arms down. You don't have to do that. That's the way that I did it. And then at the end, I'm just sort of playing around, spinning both directions, just having a little bit of free play. And this routine actually ends by fading out, so obviously you can't do that. You need to come up with an ending. A nice easy way to end is just bringing both your poi to a swing. That's always good. If you're spinning backwards, you could also wrap them around your hands. I'm sure you can come up with a nice, creative way to end. And that is that whole routine. So hopefully you can work on stringing those moves together. Whether you do it the same way that I did in the routine or not doesn't really matter. Just give you some practice transitioning between moves and getting into that flow.